Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a 1 in the live chat, and then we can get today's show started. And as I'm waiting for the ones to come into the live chat, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, but most importantly, please make sure you follow me on Telegram. I cannot stress that enough, at TD Media Group, to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the ones coming in, I can see that you all can see and hear me clearly. Let's get today's show started. I want to get today's show started right now because there's big news coming out of Chicago concerning mass deportation, Tom Homan, and everything that's getting ready to happen January 20th on day one of Trump's inauguration, right? But what I first want to do before we get into that, I want to allow some people to come into the stream. And as we're waiting for some people to come into the stream, who I want to play a video of right now is of one of my favorite people, you can say, in politics that I enjoy listening to for information during Senate hearings. And that's from Senator Josh Hawley. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with him, but anytime there's one of these Senate hearings and Josh Hawley is speaking, he always destroys whoever it is that he's speaking to. So I want to let this play for a little bit. It is relevant to the conversation because it was a Senate hearing on mass deportations that occurred yesterday. So let's let this run for a while. Let's hear Josh Hawley destroy some people, and then we're going to get back into the show.
I have to say, I'm kind of amazed that we're holding this hearing. To me, it's remarkable that the idea of actually, as you were just saying, Ms. Morin, the idea of enforcing our laws, protecting our border, securing our streets from criminals, it's amazing that that's controversial at all. And it says something a lot about the other side of the dais that we're having this hearing today. Let me just ask you, Mr. Reichlin-Melnick, I mean, is it really such a bad idea to deport people like the criminal who killed this young man? This is Travis Wolf. He was 12 years old when he was killed. He was mowed down, and I do mean mowed down, in a car by an illegal immigrant, 12 years of age, walking along a sidewalk in my state of Missouri, mowed down by an illegal immigrant who I think also had a prior criminal record. Is it such a bad idea to deport the person who killed him?
Any person who commits a heinous crime should suffer the consequences under the law.
Good. What about Officer David Lee? Officer David Lee was killed in Missouri just a few months ago by another illegal immigrant, once again in a car, who used it as a lethal weapon to ram him and kill him. Is it so wrong, such a bad idea, to deport the illegal immigrant who killed this good man?
Again, any person who commits an awful act should face the full force of the law. And
We've had multiple stabbings in the state of Missouri at laundromats in O'Fallon, Missouri, where innocent civilians were going to do their laundry of an evening and were attacked with knives, slashed, bled, stomped upon. Should the illegals who did that, should they not be deported?
No, as I said, if you commit an offense, you should face consequences. But the overwhelming majority of the 13 million people here today
We've had officers assaulted in Kansas City on the other side of the state who have been assaulted by illegal immigrants. One officer required over 100 stitches to the head, a police officer, earlier this year. Should the illegal immigrant who did that not be deported?
Again, they should face the consequences of the law, but they are a very small minority of the population that President Trump is promising to deport.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the people who you don't want to be deported. You said in an article that you wrote recently, new report shows devastating costs of mass deportation. You wrote this in October. Do you remember this piece?
Yes, that is a summary of our report.
Yeah, so in this piece, and it's also in your written testimony, you talk about how much the economy will lose if the United States actually enforces our immigration laws and deports folks who are here illegally. And I want to quote you now. You say some industries would be particularly hard hit, including construction, agriculture, and hospitality, which combined would lose more than 2.5 million workers. What's the argument here? That there aren't American workers who are available to do those jobs?
No, and as I said previously, there likely are, but the issue is that
And you don't want their wages to rise?
I think that we want to pass a path to citizenship so we can have a level and fair playing field for every American.
Why would you want American citizens and those who are here lawfully to have to compete against illegal immigrants who, by the way, are often paid not minimum wage, who are not given the federally mandated benefits precisely because they're here illegally? Why would you want to drive down the wages of millions of working Americans who can't get those jobs in construction, agriculture, and hospitality because illegal immigrants are getting them? Suppressing wages in the meantime. Why would you want to do that?
Well, if you've been here for my initial testimony, you know I don't want.
Oh, listen, I read your testimony word for word, and I've been watching it, and I know what the answer is. You don't actually care about working people because you're absolutely hell-bent on this ideological agenda of opening our border. You want to give everybody who's here a path to citizenship. You want blanket amnesty. You talk about mass deportations. That's your word, not Trump's. You want mass amnesty, right? It's right here in your testimony.
We want a path to citizenship for people who pass a background check, who pay a fine.
That's amnesty, who you just said there's millions of people, 13 million people. Right, 13 million people you want to dump into the labor force.
They are already
who will drive
in the labor force,
illegally.
Senator.
They're here,
yes.
taking jobs from American citizens and selling. Oh, perfect.
This.
So here's your plan. So just if you're wondering, America, here's the Democrats' plan. Take the 13 million plus illegals who are here, taking jobs from Americans, taking wages down, taking health care benefits, and bring them here legally so that they can continue to drive down wages, flood the labor force, and suppress
Senator
all of the
Hawley,
above.
they can't flood the labor force if they're already part of the labor force, which is
they
the
are
economic
flooding the
issue
labor
today.
force now. That's what's happening now. Why do you think
majority
wages
have been here for over 15 years. Many millions have been
and
here
what has
since
happened
the
to
Reagan
working class
administration.
wages in that time, Mr. Reichlin-Melnick?
Working class wages are currently going up. Yes.
Oh, really? They've gone up over the last
year.
15 years?
Over the last 15 years, I will have to consult the economists on that matter.
Yeah, they're down, way down. What world do you live in? Listen, here's the deal. The American people just voted. The American people just voted. Well, you know what? It's my time, not yours. So you're here to answer my questions, not to offer a soliloquy. And let me just end with this. The American people just got a good look at your economic program, and they voted against it. We've had an open border for the last 4 years. We have had de facto amnesty, as you yourself just said, for the last 15 plus years. It has been a disaster. People have died because of it. Wages are lower because of it. Our streets are in chaos because of it. And now you and the Democrat Party just say more of the same, more of the same. Let's double down. I would just say to you, I think that's insanity. I think it's total insanity, and the American people do too.
Now what I want to do, as we're getting the show underway and getting more into the meat of the show, I want to take a moment to kind of just highlight what Senator Hawley was speaking about concerning illegal immigrants taking jobs. I know we know and understand this all to be true already, but I just want to compliment what he was saying here right now by pulling up this video here. I thought I had it queued up. I don't, so I'm going to have to play it directly off of Twitter, which is really annoying to me. I hate playing stuff directly off Twitter, but I want to pull this up for you right now also, because many of you may remember months ago, I did a stream on what was happening in, I believe it's Grand Rapids, Michigan, where there were a host of factories over there where they were employing almost exclusively illegal immigrant children. And that was a story that surprisingly was broke by the New York Times. So many of you may remember I did that story a while back. And this employing of illegal immigrants we're seeing now, not illegal immigrants, but specifically children that are illegal immigrants, right? The employment of children who are illegal immigrants in these jobs across the country. Like I said, we've discussed it in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and is now spilling over into the state of Illinois. I want to get into this clip here. Let me pull it up for you right now. And as I'm doing it, please make sure you hit that like button as well. I would really appreciate that. And follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. Let me remove this here. And give me just a second. My apologies. I really wish I had already had this up, and I thought I did. But here we go. Okay, let me fix myself. And let me play this clip for you guys very briefly. Okay, let's jump into this right now.
To an ABC News exclusive today, the U.S. Department of Labor is investigating HelloFresh. It is over allegations that the popular meal kit service employed migrant children at a cooking and packaging facility here in the Chicago area as recently as this summer. The facility in question is located in Aurora on Indian Trail. It's a Factor 75 facility, which was acquired by HelloFresh in 2020. And an immigrant rights advocacy group that helped report the matter says this involves at least 6 teenagers, some of whom migrated from Guatemala. They were found working night shifts at the facility, and documents apparently show that the Labor Department is also investigating whether Midway Staffing, an agency that hires employees to work at the facility, also violated federal child labor rules. A spokesperson for HelloFresh telling ABC News in a statement today, quote, "We have zero tolerance for any form of child labor, and we have taken action to ensure no minors perform work in or have access to our facilities." HelloFresh says it has terminated its relationship with Midway Staffing. Midway Staffing did not respond to a request for comments.
They all know what they're doing, everybody. They all know what they're doing when they're engaging in this type of activity, when they're hiring these illegal immigrants, and particularly illegal immigrant children over the citizen population, right? But you have on the left, as it pertains to the DNC, like the individual that we saw speaking in the middle of the Senate hearing, everybody plays stupid, like they don't know what's going on. Everybody plays dumb, but we all know what's going on, and Tom Homan and Donald Trump clearly know what's going on as well. Now, as we get back to Chicago, and we're going to dive into the meat of the stream, when it comes to the city that has had the most in terms of raw numbers, the most illegal immigrants come into the city, it's New York City, right? But if you're talking about the most per capita, it's actually Denver. It's Denver, Colorado, who has had the most illegal immigrants come in to their city per capita. But when it comes to those with the loudest voice, the city that has the loudest voice that is actually speaking out against it, and I'm talking about citizen population, it's in Chicago. Chicago has been screaming and making it loud and clear that they want the migrant crisis to end, which it effectively has now that we have Trump entering into office. But they've been clear on wanting mass deportations. They've been clear on wanting an end to sanctuary city status. They've been clear on everything concerning getting rid of the illegal immigrants in the city of Chicago. And people like, or I shouldn't say people like, but the mayor, Brandon Johnson, has done everything in his power to silence the voices of the citizen population. And he has done it in the most disrespectful and anti-democratic ways as well. You all remember at one point in time, it would get so turned up in city council meetings that the city council meetings would have to shut down. They were so jam-packed with so many American citizens in those city council meetings screaming down on Brandon Johnson. And got so hectic, so much so to the point that Brandon Johnson and his team had to restructure the way city council meetings were done so that less people are allowed into the city council meetings, so it doesn't look as hectic and it doesn't look as if they are just being overwhelmed by the citizen population the way that they actually were. Right. But I want to get into the disrespect of Brandon Johnson. Look at this video here. Many of you may remember when I played this once before. You're going to see a woman, or you're going to hear her because she's recording at the same time while she's talking to Brandon Johnson, the emperor of the People's Republic of Chicago, by the way. She's going to basically say, hey, you're giving all these illegal immigrants housing. What about housing for us? Can we get some housing right quick? And Brandon Johnson is literally going to laugh in this woman's face. He's going to laugh in her face. Let's listen to this right now. I want to know if he got any housing in his backyard. I'm going to start it from the very beginning. I want to know if he got any housing in his backyard. My man, that's what I'm talking about. I'm working on it too.
Sir, Mr. Mayor, you think you can help us with some housing real quick?
Not real quick.
Yeah, I want you to help us the way you, because I campaigned for you and I need.
Did you hear how he just laughed in her face? Not real quick. And all his yes men started laughing at her too. Look at this. This is crazy. Brandon Johnson's disrespect is unbelievable.
I want to know if he got any housing in his back.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. I'm working on it too. What's up?
Sir, Mr. Mayor, you think you can help us with some housing real quick?
Not real quick.
Yeah, I want you to help us the way you, because I campaigned for you and I need housing. My gas bill over $2,000. Can you help me?
I campaigned for you and I need housing. Can you help me? Brandon Johnson laughed in this citizen's face, laughed in her face. Now, there's another video that I want to pull up for you here right now, too, of an individual who was talking to Brandon Johnson to his face. And just look at Brandon Johnson's demeanor, right? Look at how he's just going to be sitting there like this while this man is talking to him. And what he's going to do is that he's going to put Brandon Johnson on the spot. He's going to put Brandon Johnson on a spot, essentially saying, look, you talk all this blackety black talk about, oh, I'm from the West Side and black men this and the black community that, but you're not walking it like you talk it. You said this stuff to get into office, but now that you're in office as the mayor, you're making money rain on illegal immigrant community while you've given nothing more than what, a little measly $500,000 to spread around different neighborhoods across the city. But you rode in on the coattails of Black Power. Let's get into this video clip right now. I want to play this for you. And once again, most importantly, look at Brandon Johnson's just demeanor and how he's just sitting here like, yeah, whatever. All right, can you hurry up already? Let's get into this.
Right. Johnson, you made promises.
Let's start it from the very beginning.
Anything right. Johnson, you made promises to people. You told people that you understood the struggle of the West Side. You understood the struggle of the black men. You understood that. Yet when you got here, it took you over a year and some change to put, what, $500,000 into a study for reparations. And yet you're going backwards. You're bending over backwards. You're cutting out other funds for the COVID relief and all of this stuff for immigrants that you don't know of, criminals who are coming over here. This is not a conspiracy. This has been confirmed. They're coming over here, breaking into stores, breaking into houses. They're coming over here and doing anything they want to do. No type of punishment. They're in and out of jail. Unlike the black boys that you said that you can relate to, that you said that you sympathize with. The only sympathy we've seen since you've been in office is to illegal immigrants who are coming over here and they're terrorizing and plaguing the community. And this is the last straw for the Democratic Party.
And it was the last straw for the Democratic Party as far as the presidential election was concerned. But just to keep highlighting the point of Brandon Johnson's disrespect. And now, even in the midst of all of this, with all of his so-called Black Power talking, I'm from the West Side and so on and so forth, I just want to continue to highlight the foolishness of Brandon Johnson and how he runs Chicago before we get into Tom Homan and what this in the statements that he made. Let me play this classic for you here. Many of you remember the classic of, I don't have time to go to the border. I'll get there when I have time to, but I have a black wife that I have to attend to. And because I have a black wife, apparently that's the reason that he cannot do his job as the mayor of Chicago. Don't believe me? Oh, many of you remember this clip. Let's get into it right now.
Just to clarify, when is the team?
Soon as possible. Look, I'm still running a major city. I have children who attend schools who have soccer games, y'all. You know, you all are asking me as if I'm not a parent in this city. I get it, I'm mayor, I get it, but you're asking me to give you a date and I have to court. Do you understand that you have not had a mayor like me? I get that. I have a wife, I have children, they have schedules. And plus, we still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible. But I got to coordinate that with running the government and making sure that my wife and children are secure as well. Thank you, Lawrence.
And can you?
I'll get to the border when I get to the border. I got a black wife and that's holding me up right now. I got a black wife and black children on the west side of Chicago, and I can't do my job as mayor because of that. That's why I can't do my job as mayor. Unbelievable. This is the man who was elected as mayor of Chicago. So clearly This man doesn't care to listen to anybody as it pertains to the citizen population of Chicago. He doesn't care to listen. He doesn't care what you all have to say. But there are some people who care, right? They do care about what you have to say, and they clearly have been listening. And that is Tom Homan and President-elect Donald Trump. This entire time, when the people of Chicago were turning up, getting on Brandon Johnson's neck, and Brandon Johnson is running around out here, not listening, disrespecting the citizen population, laughing in your face, changing the rules of city council meetings so that makes it harder for the citizen population to get into a city council meeting. And many times, you all remember, I used to say this over and over again a couple months back. It was easier for an illegal immigrant to cross the border than it is for a Chicago citizen to get into a city council meeting. While he was dismissing all of you, Homan and Trump were listening. Homan and Trump were listening while he was dismissing you all. And I want to get into that right now. I want to jump into this article really quick. As you can see here, Tom Homan, President-elect Trump's Border Czar, says deportation plan will start in Chicago. Let's get into this very quickly. And then I want to get into the video clip of Tom Homan delivering a speech when he was in the city. The man President-elect Donald Trump picked as new Border Czar appeared in Chicago Monday night and made a bold promise. Tom Homan was a guest at a holiday party hosted by the Law and Order PAC and the Northwest Side GOP Club. And I quote, "Chicago's in trouble because your mayor sucks and your governor sucks." That's a direct quote from Tom Homan. In Chicago, he told Brandon Johnson, "You suck." And he told the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, "You suck." Homan said President-elect Trump tapped him to run the biggest deportation operation the country has ever seen. And he said that operation will begin in Chicago right after President-elect Trump is inaugurated for his new term on January 20th. Homan's opening line did not seem to open the door to collaboration, but minutes later, Homan asked both Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker to come to the table to help with the biggest deportation operation in U.S. history. And I quote once again, "We're going to start right here in Chicago, Illinois. If your Chicago mayor doesn't want to help me, he can step aside," Homan told the crowd. "But if he impedes us, if he knowingly harbors or conceals an illegal alien, I will prosecute him." And I hope that happens. I really hope that happens. January 21st, you're going to look for, January 21st, you're going to look for a lot of ICE agents in your city looking for criminals and gang members. Homan said, "Count on it. It will happen." U.S. Representative Delia Ramirez addressed the proposed plans for mass deportations during an interview with CBS News Chicago, Dana Kozlov. And I quote, this is what Ms. Ramirez had to say. What he's saying, let's break out the small violins. Let's break out the little violins now. She said, what he's saying is invoking the same kind of fear that I've been seeing in Committee of Homeland Security for the last 2 years, Ramirez said. Of course, they're going to try to target communities that understand, like Chicago, that immigrants have contributed to our economy. In the state of Illinois, we protect our immigrant communities. I want to speak to this point right here that she's saying. I want to speak to this, that the proposal that Tom Homan is putting forth is evoking fear in the illegal immigrant community, right? I want to speak to that because this fear that she's speaking of is something that's actually welcomed by the Democrat Party. It's welcomed by Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker. Before I highlight on that more and build on that more, what I want to do now is actually play the video of Tom Homan giving his speech while in the city. I want to play that for you right now. And I want you to listen closely at what he is getting ready to say, right? And as he's speaking, there's going to be a lot of things that he says that we've heard before, you know, the whole get the hell out of the way line and all that stuff. Bear with that in the beginning and pay attention to what he says getting closer to the end. And I want to really harp on what he says at the end, because I really want you guys to understand the play that the DNC is getting ready to run. So let me pull this up on the screen for you guys right now. Let's get into what Tom Homan has to say. And as we're doing that, please, once again, hit the like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Please do that as well. If you're watching me on Twitter, retweet this stream. And also Telegram. I cannot beg you all to follow me on Telegram enough at TD Media Group to circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below, and pinned in the live channel will be in the comment section as well. Let's get into what Tom and Homan had to say.
Because I want to send the mayor a message.
He said, I'm in Chicago because I want to send the mayor a message. Let's take it from the top.
I'm in Chicago because I want to send the mayor a message that wants to stand in my way. Go ahead and stand in my way. We'll do it without you. But I'm not going to blame the law enforcement officers. 99% of the cops want to remove public safety threats from their neighborhood. President Trump's been clear. So haven't I. We're going to prioritize public safety threats without a gate. What elected mayor, elected governor does not want public safety threats out of their communities? And I can't believe this governor saying the things, your governor and your mayor saying things they're saying, but like I said on Fox many times, either they help or get out of the way, because we're going to do it. And here's what I was sharing with a couple years earlier. The mayor says he wants to protect the immigrant community. That's a bunch of bullshit. Because you think about the facts of the matter is, sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. That is true. When you release an illegal alien out of your jail back in the community, do you think the victim and witness that crime wants them back? Because they'll say, we got a sanctuary status, we want victim and witness of alien crime be free to come to us without the fear of working with ICE. The victim and witness of crime don't want the bad guy back to their neighborhood. If you go to the immigrant community and ask one simple question, would you rather have ICE in your jail or in your community? What do you think they're going to say? In the jail. Because even though they're here illegally, the vast majority are, God-fearing family people. They don't want someone convicted DUI 10 times in their neighborhood. They don't want a predator in their neighborhood. So I can't believe the position of this mayor, that he would not help us lower the crime rate in Chicago. Not every criminal in Chicago is an illegal alien, but many are. Let us take those out of Chicago and out of the country. It certainly will help the safety and security of this city. But here's what's going to happen. What's going to happen, he's going to not assist us. They're going to keep me locked out of Cook County Jail, because we're not allowed in Cook County Jail. And here's what's going to happen. When he releases a bad guy in the community, I got to send a whole team to find that guy. And I'm going to find him. And when we find him, there's going to be others. Others that aren't a priority, others that aren't criminal aliens, others that aren't public safety threats, you're just here illegally. And guess what? They're coming too. Because unlike the Biden administration, I'm not going to tell immigration enforcement officers, when you see an illegal immigrant standing in front of you, turn around and walk away from them. They're going to arrest them, they're going to enforce the law. So what the mayor's forcing me to do is go in a community where more non-priority illegal aliens will be arrested. He's getting the exact results that he's bitching about. So do the right thing. Step up. Help us with the criminal aliens. Let us take those public safety threats out. When we get to the non-criminals, you don't have to help me. We don't have to do it. We do it very well. But when it comes to public safety threats, don't release the guy back in the community, because it makes it unsafe for my officers now have to knock on their door where they have access to who knows what weapons. It puts the immigrant community at greater risk of crime. It puts the alien at greater risk. Let us arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of the county jail. What the hell is wrong with that? And finally, I've been sending another message to him. You cannot help, but if you impede us, if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from my officers, you will be prosecuted.
Did you catch what he was saying at the end? And that's what I really want to harp on in closing. I really want to harp on this in closing as we're wrapping things up. Just look at this here, right? Look at this article here. Mass shooting, including police officers shot in Cicero, Illinois, after a Venezuelan transnational gang member had been arrested by ICE. I'm not going to waste time getting into this article and reading it right now. But just in a nutshell, you had a suspected Tren de Aragua gang member that's out here shooting stuff up. But Homan is saying, look, you're going to create the very situation that you say you're trying to avoid, and that all Democrats say they're trying to avoid. All you have to do is let us into your prisons. We're not even trying to hit the streets, because as we're chasing down the quote bad guys, if we're going after them in the street, it leaves open the opportunity for situations like this to happen to ICE agents, to where they're finding themselves being shot at and things of that nature. So they're not really trying to patrol the streets, looking for the bad guys, when they can just get led into Cook County Jail and jails across the country, and you can just hand them over to us peacefully, and we can go on our way. But as Homan said, if you're forcing us to hit the streets to look for the quote bad guys, then when we're knocking on doors, and we're checking paperwork, if we find whoever it is that might not be engaging in crime, they could be living a peaceful life, just working whatever job they're working, but their paperwork isn't in order, guess what? They're getting deported, because those ICE agents are not going to pass them up while looking for the quote bad guys. So the very situation that you say you're trying to avoid, you're creating, because that's literally what the Democrats want to happen. They don't want any of this to occur in an orderly fashion, as they've been discussing. You first start with the criminals of the illegal immigrant population, and then from there, you move forward and you start going after those who have had their day in court. The judge found that their claim for asylum was fraudulent, and now they have a deportation order on them. Just like those who are engaged in criminal activity, right? Those who have had their deportation order placed on them, going after them and snatching them up, it's all legal. There's nothing to talk about, because you literally have a deportation order on your jacket, and we know who you are because the judge saw you and said you got to get out of here, but then you fled, right? They are doing everything possible to disrupt the mass deportation efforts and to make it as chaotic as possible, because they want the storyline of the mother being ripped out of the house and her child not knowing what to do. They want that. They want the illegal immigrant tears to be flowing in the streets of children saying, "Where's my mom? Where's my dad?" So on and so forth. The Democrats are literally creating, as Tom Homan stated, they're creating the very scenario that they say they don't want to happen, because you literally could avoid all that if you just let Tom Homan go into the prisons and just get the bad guys that are already in the prisons. And whenever you get a new bad guy, just call us up and we will be right there. But if you're not allowing us to do it, you're forcing us to go into the streets. And as Homan said, when we hit the streets, and we find that man or woman, mother, father, uncle, grandma, grandfather, it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter how long you've been in the country, doesn't matter how many kids you have. If we find you as we're looking for these bad guys and your paperwork isn't in order, which means that you're a fugitive who entered the country unlawfully, once we find you, we're snatching you up. And I promise you, MSNBC, CNN, and all these other garbage DNC networks are going to be running those stories on Hyperloop. Now, when it comes to stories of illegal immigrants taking the lives of citizens, they're quiet. They act like this stuff isn't happening. But you just wait for this mass deportation effort to get underway. Once again, in closing, as I round it out, because they are creating a hostile situation in which they're forcing ICE agents to hit the streets to look for the bad guys, you're going to see so-called moms and dads getting snatched up and the kids are crying and so on and so forth. And MSNBC, CNN, and all these other news outlets, oh, they're going to have a field day with it. They're going to have a field day with the very situation that they themselves have created. That's why I go so hard with this mass deportation, information that I put forth. That's why I go so hard with it, because it's important that we counter essentially the propaganda that they're creating so that they can report and push forward and pretend like something xenophobic is happening, something wrong is happening, when actually, what actuality was happening is those who are unlawfully in the country and who are now literally fugitives are being removed accordingly, because that's what's supposed to happen when you're a fugitive on the run who have crossed the border unlawfully. And with all that being said, that does it for today's show. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you're new to the channel and you like what you heard here, please make sure you hit the subscribe button on your way out. If you subscribe to the channel, and even if you hit the bell notification, there's a strong chance that you may not get your notifications. So please make sure you follow me on Telegram. I can't stress that enough. That's how we circumvent the social media censorship and shadow banning. Telegram, that TD Media Group, okay? The link to the Telegram's in the description box below. Is pinned in the live chat. It'll be pinned in the comment section once the stream ends. And also share this video out on your social media platforms and hit the like button on your way out. Please do that for me. Hit the like button on your way out. But I'm going to beg you once again, Telegram. You have to follow me on Telegram. Please do that for me, and thank you very much. What I want to do right now is get into the super chats. We have a couple, not too many, but I want to get into those right now and just give my thank yous. Shout out to my man DSB for 22 months of service. I appreciate you, bro, for always coming through as you do. My man DSB, always showing love and support on the channel. Shout out to the Hood Assassin. He says somebody needs to get to stepping. Yeah, there's a lot of people that need to get to stepping. And Brandon Johnson and JB Pritzker is one of them. They need to get to stepping and get to vote it out. Also, they need to get to vote it out. And shout out to my man Untried Genius, who's been holding it down for this channel for a long time. He said Holly is right. We don't want them here. They skipped the line. Give those resources and jobs to citizens and legal migrants. Illegals working has driven wages down and hurt us that want change. And I'm 100% right there with you on Tried Genius. Once again, thank you all for joining me today. Hopefully you all appreciated the stream and the information in the stream. I'm going to beg you guys once again in closing, Telegram. Follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link is in the description box below, pinned in the live chat, to circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. That is extremely important. I will catch you guys next time. I'm going to be live again this Friday at the same time. Peace, and have a great afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and a great morning if you're still on the West Coast like me. Peace.